Guys, uh, welcome to the another lesson for functions in C, and here we are going to see the exercise questions that are present in your chapter 7 functions in C chapter for computer science class 10 SEBA board. And basically in this video we are going to see all the programming problems that are present in your chapter 7 functions in C chapter, and along with it I would be uploading this PDF in our in the channel description, so you can always download and then check it from there. So let's begin. So the very first question is, what is the global variable in C? Why do you need such a variable, right? And as we all know, a global variable in C is a variable that is declared outside all functions, including the main function. These variables are accessible by any functions within the program. So basically global variables are any variables that are declared outside the main function, okay? And that variable can be accessed by any of the code segment that you have written for that program, okay? And then why do you need such variables? So I have mentioned here the key characteristic of global variable as well. You can go through all these characteristics, like declared outside all functions at a program level, can be accessed and modified by any functions in a program. So these global variables can be accessed by any part of the program and can be modified by any functions in the program, okay? And then this variable retains their values throughout the program's execution, okay? And then the another question was, why do you need such a variable? Here are a few of the points that I have mentioned. Data sharing between functions. When multiple functions need to access the same data, global variables eliminate the need to pass the parameters repeatedly. So basically, if you have multiple functions in your program, so for all the program, that global variable can be accessed. So that is one of the features or the functionality. Okay, persistent storage. Global variables maintain their values throughout the program execution. So at any point of time you can access that global variable in any of the in your code segment, okay? Reduce complexity. When many functions need access to the same data, so if you want to share same data across multiple functions, at that time also you use global variables, and larger arrays may be made global to avoid passing them as parameters, which is memory efficient, okay? So if you have large arrays, you can declare that variable as a global variable and then access it within the array. So one more thing I would like to access here is, like, I have given a lengthy explanation of this answer, right? So it all depends upon you, like which point you wanted to take. So you that question can be of like 1 or 2 mark. In that case you don't need to write all these explanations. You can mention like point 1 and point 2 from this characteristic as well, or you can mention it from point 1 and point 2 from here as well. That is totally up to you. But my point is, like, if you get any such questions which is of like say 4 or 5 marks questions, then you can mention all these points. So that is the point I have written this answer. Maybe it all depends upon you, like how do you want to use this answer, okay? Let's move to another question. Write the syntax of a function declaration for calculate age. So what this program what this question is telling is, we need to write a syntax for a function to calculate the age, okay? So in this case what we have done, and if you see here, it has only asked for writing the function declaration, okay? And then we need to write only the syntax. So this is the syntax that we have written here. The syntax has like int calculate age, and then within the bracket we have int current year comma int birth year, okay? And then the explanation I've given over here, return type is int, calculate age is the function, parameters, there are 2 integer parameters, current year and then the birth year, semicolon required at the end of the declaration. So this is the explanation for the same. So you can also write only this part, or you can write the explanation below it. So it also depends upon you, okay? Let's move to another question. Write the code segment for a function definition of calculate age. So now it is asking to write the code segment. How do you write the code segment to find the definition of a calculate age? Okay, So in the calculate age, you have two parameters. One is the current year, another is the birth year. And then inside this function, I have took age as a integer variable. Okay. And in the age, what we are storing? We are storing the current year minus the birth year. So for example, the current year is 2025. Okay. And then the birth year was 2000. Then 2025 minus 2000 will give you 25. So the same age you are going to return. Okay. So this is the functionality the code is asking. The question is asking to give a code segment for a function definition. So it is asking you to define the function for the calculate age. And how do you calculate age? We calculate the age by the current year minus the birth year. Okay. This is the same explanations that I have given over here. You can read it. Okay, the function calculate age by subtracting the birth year from the current year, returns the calculate age. Calculated age is an integer variable, uses proper variable declaration in the return statement. Okay, so this part is main. You can also write the explanation as well, and it totally depends upon you, like how do you want to answer this kind of questions. Moving to the next question, what are the different types of functions in C? Differentiate among them. So we already know there are two main types of functions in C programming. One is called the library function, another is called the user defined function, and I've given here the definition and then the characteristics of this library function and then the user defined function. So for the library functions that are predefined in the C header files and provided by the system. So if you see what kind of functions are called the library functions, like printf, scanf, gets, puts, strlen. So all these kind of functions that are defined within the system and then included in the header files. Like if you want to use these kind of functions, then you need to include like stdio.hash include stdio.h at the top of the program. Similarly, if you want to use the string functionality like gets or the puts, then you need to include hash include string.h. So these are all the characteristics of these library functions. But you need to have this point clear, like these are the functions that are predefined in the C header files. Okay, whenever you declare the headers, at that time you get all the functions that are present inside those headers. And what are user defined functions? User defined functions are the functions that are created by the programmer to the specific requirement, like calculate age, find largest sum. So these definitions user will write, right? So what are the characteristics? The characteristics are written by the programmer, require complete definition including declaration, definition, function call. So everything you need to write it, everything programmer needs to write it. So such kind of functions are called the user defined function. So what is user defined function? User defined functions are the functions that are whose definitions are written by the programmer. Okay, like the calculate age. If you want to calculate age, you need to explicitly mention like what is the current year, what is the a year in which the person was born. Then you need to do the subtraction. After doing the subtraction, you need to assign it to a variable. Then that variable you need to return. So all these things, that these functions you are defining the logic yourself. Such kind of programs are called the user defined functions. And library functions are those functions whose definition everything is written by the some system developer, whoever developed the C program. And only the part is like you need to include those header files like stdio.h and string.h. Okay. So same is here. You can always read this part differences. If it is coming for the lengthy questions, then you can write these differences as well. I am going to upload this PDF in the description of the channel as well. You can get this PDF from there as well. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Differentiate between caller and the callee functions with example. So it is asking what is called the caller function, what is called the callee functions. The function that makes a call to another function. Okay. What is caller function? Caller function is from where you are calling the another function. Okay. And then the callee function is the function that is being called by the another function. Okay. So this is the difference. Caller function means whoever is making a function call to the another function, and callee function means which function is being called. Okay, now if you see here, this is called the caller function. Why it is called the caller function? Because this is calling a function multiply. Okay, this is calling a function called multiply. So this function is called the caller. This function is called a caller function. Why it is called a caller function? Because here if you see the function that makes call to another function, so this function is making a call to this function. Okay, and then what is called the callee function? The function being called. Which function is being called? This function is being called. Int multiply, int a comma int b is being called. So this function is called the callee function. Okay, you can think of it is like you are making a phone call to your friend. Okay, and your friend knows the answer of the multiplication. So whoever is making a phone call, so here from here you are dialing the number to your friend, right? So this function is called the caller function, because from here the function is being called, and this function, this is like your friend's number, or your friends knows the multiplication of this number. So this function, whichever function is being called, this function it is called the callee function. Okay, this is the part. Here is a small explanation, you can always read it up, because I am going to upload this PDF in the channel description as well. Okay, when do you call a function user defined? Is printf a user defined function? Answer: a function is called a user defined when it is created, written and defined by the function by the programmer according to specific requirement. So basically it is asking for the definition of a user defined function, and we know what is the definition of user defined function. A user defined function is a function that is written, created and defined by the programmer according to their specific need. So and another part it is calling, is printf a user defined function? Now is printf written by the developer? Is printf's functionality is written by the developer? No, it is not defined or written by the programmer. The definition or the printf function is present within #include stdio.h library. Okay, this is printf is part of a library function. It is not part of a user defined function. And from where the printf is coming? Printf is coming whenever you are including that header file. And what is the header file required for the printf? Header file required for the printf is #include stdio.h. Okay, that is the reason printf is not a user defined function. It is a global function. Okay, that is the explanation I have given here. I think this is a very long explanation. You can always read through all these definitions. I am not going to explain it in detail, but you can go through this PDF, and then if you have any doubt you can always reach out to me in my WhatsApp channel. Can we have two functions with the same name but different parameters? No, standard C does not support function overloading. Now what this question is asking? This question is asking, can we have two functions with the same name but different parameters? What it is asking? It is asking, can there be two functions? Say for example, if you see here, int add is there, int add is also there. Okay, but the parameters are different. So if you see here, int a, int b, here what are the parameters? Int a is the parameter, int b is the parameters, int c is the parameter. So in this int add function there are three parameters. In this int add there are two parameters. So the question is asking, can we have function with the same name? So this is the function name, this is the function name, right? These two are the same function name, and then we have different parameters. So here we are having two parameters, here we are having three parameters. So when you run this piece of code and you try to call the add function here, from here you are trying to call the add function with two parameters 5 and 3. Okay, now what will happen? The compiler will get confused whether to go in this function definition or whether to go in this function definition. Okay, that is the reason it will give you an error. The error would be the compiler will give you a redefinition of function add error. Okay, this kind of programming paradigm are supported in C++, and this kind of thing, this kind of functionality where we are having a same function name but with different parameters, this functionality is called the function overloading. So this function overloading is not supported in C programming. Okay, it is supported in C++ programming. Okay, so the answer would be no, and the reason would be the answer would be no because the standard C does not support the function overloading. So for that you need to have C++. Moving on to the next question, what are the different components of a functions? I have reiterated it multiple times by now. So the three main components are function declaration, function definition, and function call. So what is function declaration? Function declaration is used to tell the compiler about the function name, return type, and parameter. Function definition will give you the actual code statement, and function call is from where the function is getting executed. Okay, so if you see the one of the like the program, this is the program to find the maximum of 3 number. Okay, and this part of code segment is called the function declaration. Why it is called the function declaration? It is called the function declaration because this is the part where we are telling the compiler that we are having a find maximum function that can accept 3 parameters. So this is called the function declaration. Now what is function call? Function call is from where we are calling the function. So if you see here, from here we are calling the function. Okay, so this part is called the function call, and this is function definition, where the actual program is written. So wherever the actual program is written, that part is called the function definition. Okay, so here is the complete analysis I have given here. You can always go through this in the PDF that I will share with you, and if you have any doubt you can always reach out to me in my WhatsApp channel or the WhatsApp group. Define recursive function. Can we use recursive function for all problem? What do you mean by recursive function? A recursive function is a function that calls itself during its execution. A function that is calling same function, a function that is calling itself is called the recursive function. And there are two components of a recursion or a recursive function. One is called the base case, another is called the recursive case. What is called the base case? A base case is a case where the function stops calling itself. Okay, this is the terminating condition, and recursive call is from where the function is getting called multiple times. Okay, now if you see here, this is one of the example. So hash include stdio.h, this is a recursive function. This find factorial is a recursive function, and if you see here, this part, this is the part from where we are calling the find factorial. From here we are calling the find factorial, and then say for example we have given the number 5. Number 5 will come here, this will call this function. Now when it is coming in this condition, it will check if number is equal to 0, 5 is not equal to 0, condition becomes false, so it will go to the else condition. Now here if you see return, what this function will return, it will return 5 into find factorial 5 minus 1 is 4. So 5 into find factorial 4 it will return, and find factorial 4 means this function is calling again the find factorial function. Find factorial function is which function? It is the same function where this code is, from where the function call is happening. So a function that is calling another function, this kind of functions are called the recursive function, and this kind of functions are used to solve problems like factorial, Fibonacci series, this kind of problem, or find the summation of nth number. Okay, so here I have written a very small explanation of can we use recursive function for all problems. So it depends, it cannot be used to solve all kind of problems when to use recursion. mathematical problems like the factorial or Fibonacci. When not to use recursion, simple iterative tasks like print number 1 to 100. So this you can do either with array or any other like if else condition, these kind of things you can do. Okay, so this is a very lengthy explanation of this answer. You can always shorten it up. Whatever you find suitable for you to take from this answer, you can take it up, but I have written a detailed explanation of all this answer. Okay, so moving on to the next question, list syntax error in the given code. Here if you see, there would be a code that would be given, and the syntax error, if I will explain you. So if you see here, the number is missing here. Okay, but I have written it over here, but if you see in your textbook, this part is missing. So basically when you call the fun with a number, okay, with a blank value, so this doesn't have any value, then at that time this function will get called. But when this function is getting called, you have int x, that means it is expecting one parameter, but you haven't passed any parameter. So this was the error this function was having, and the corrected part of this code is the same one, like you need to pass the number here. If you see the explanation, the function that fun expects one integer parameter but none is provided. So if you check in your textbook, you will not have this number. Okay, so if you don't have this number, fun will get called, but when fun is getting called, it is expecting one parameter. So that's where it will give you the error. Okay, so you need to pass fun number. Find output when users, this is the question 11, find output when user enters 5. When the user will enter 5, if you see this program, int fun, int x, you have this function definition, int main, enter the number, percentage, you enter the 5, fun of 5 means it will call this function, fun 5% 2. Now 5% 2 will give you the remainder. Okay, what is the remainder when 5 is divided by 2? When you divide 5 by 2, 2 to the 4, 1 will come as a remainder. When 1 will come as a remainder, this condition will becomes false and it will go to the else condition. When it goes to the else condition, it will return a 0. Okay, so this int x will become 0, and when it becomes 0, it will print a 0 here. So the output of the program when users enter 5 will become 0. Okay, this is the same explanation that I have given. You can go through this answer. If you have any difficulty or if you find any where you are getting stuck, you can always reach out to me in my WhatsApp channel or the WhatsApp group. Okay, function to find the square of a number. So what is the square of a number? Square of a number, say what is the square of 5? 5 square is 5 into 5, 25. That means user will give you one number, that number you will need to multiply with the same number and then return it to the user. Okay, so it is asking you to write the function to find the square of a number. So hash include std.h, you have written the function definition here, then you have written this program. Okay, you have the number and then the result, enter a number, user enters a number, say for example 5, square of 5. Now square of 5 will return you num into num, 5 into 5, it will give you 25. So then this function is returning 25, and then you have the result variable where it is getting assigned. So the square of number means square of 5 is percentage d, result, square of 5 is 25. So this will get printed, function to find the square of a number. So I think this is a very simple explanation where you need to just define one function square and then you need to do num into num. Whatever the user is given, that same thing you need to multiply with that same number. Okay, moving on to the next question, we have function to search elements in array. So you would be given an array by the user and you need to search the element. Wherever you find that element, you need to return it to the end user. Okay, whatever would be the index of that array. Now you have defined, the program starts with main array size element index, enter the size of array. You have given say for example 5, enter array elements, I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, users start entering all this number, and then users enter what number to find. Okay, you put that in the variable element, then you call the function search. In this search function you pass the array, you pass what is the size. Say for example, enter the size of the user has entered 5 value, so you enter the number size, and then you enter which number user is going to search in this array. Then this function is getting called. When this function is getting called, you do for loop, and for each of the element you will try to iterate. Say for example, the array contains 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. You iterated through array of 0 will give you 10, and then the element you have given is 30. Is 10 is equal to 30? No, 10 is not equal to 30. So the loop will again continue. Okay, and when the loop will continue, the next array element is 20. So array of 1 would give you 20, and then the element you are searching is 30. So this condition will become false, again the loop will continue. Now array of 2 is 30. Okay, 30 is equal to element also you have passed as 30. So if 30 is equal to 30, condition becomes true, it will give you the index, and then the index is 2. Okay, so if index is not equal to -1, if it doesn't find any element, then it will give like -1. It didn't find anything, because if something is found, it will go inside this loop. If nothing is found, it will come outside of this for loop and then return -1. Okay, if it is returning -1, like if index not equal to -1, that means it is found. So when it will be -1, it will be -1 when no elements are found. So it will go into the else condition and then print element not found. But if the index is not is equal to -1, that means when it will be not -1, it will not be -1 whenever it will go inside this condition. And when it will go inside this condition, whenever it will find this element in this array. So if it find this element in this array at position 3, then it will return 3. So the same thing it will print here, the index of the array. Okay, so this was very easy explanation of how to find or search the elements in an array. Moving on to the next question, we have recursive function for sum of first n natural numbers. Okay, so what is the sum of first n natural number? So if you give say 5, so what would be the sum of n natural number? It would be 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, or 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, the same thing you need to print it over here, or you need to find the summation of all these first n natural number. Okay, so program starts. You have this program. This is, we will use the recursion here. Okay, and you have this function int main. Enter the number. Say for example, user has enter 5. Then you call this function sum natural number 5, sum natural and then 5. If n is equal to 1, n is 5. So if n is 5, then this condition will become false. It will come here. Then it will return 5 plus sum of natural number 5 minus 1. That means it will give you 4. Then this function will get called 5 plus some natural number 4. Now where this function is written? This function is the same function where it is written. Okay, so this is recursive call. Then again it will come here. Some natural 4 will get called. When some natural 4 is getting called, again 4 equal to 1, condition becomes false. Again it will come here. So when it comes here, it will give 5 plus 4 plus some natural number 4 minus 1, that means 3. So 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus when this will become 2, here 2 minus 1 is 1. When some natural number 1 will become, then at that time n value is 1, n is equal to 1 means this condition will become true, and then this function will return 1. At that time this will give you 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Now since base condition got hit, right, this if condition got executed, so at that time what will happen, it will come here, and from here when it will become 1, this function will get returned. So that is the condition where this, whenever this base condition gets hit or when it gets executed, the function terminates, and then this answer will get returned to the end user. Okay, then this function will return 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, and then this would be replaced with 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, whatever would be the value, and assigned with the result. And here we are printing the sum of first n natural number is result. Percentage d means result. So here it will give you the result. Okay. So this is how like the recursion works, and this is the same kind of programming that you would be used for finding the factorial of a number. Okay. Moving on to the last question, we have functions to add elements at a given indices. Okay. So there is an array, we declare a function here, and we have this int main array elements. Users enters the array, and then the user gives 3 indices, whatever would be the indices. Say for example, user is given 2, 3 and 4. Okay, user is given 2, 3, 4. At that time this add function will get called, and when this add function will get called, 2, 3 and 4, this would be index 1, index 2, index 3. So index 1 will become 2, array of 2 is 0, 1, 2, array of 2 is 0, array of 2, 3, array of 3 is 8, because ARR of 0, 1, 2, 3 is 8, and array of 0, 2, 3, 4. Whenever user is passing 4, array of 4 will also give you this one. So what it will return? It will return 0 plus 8 plus 8. That means it will return 16. And here this add I1, I2, I3 will become 16, and then the result will become 16. And then here you are printing like sum of element at indices, percentage d, percentage d, percentage d is percentage d. That means finally we are printing the result, and here we are printing the indices. Okay. So this is how this will get executed. Say for here is an example we have given. The user is given for add, here the indices the user is given is 2, 3 and 5. Okay, and this is the array you are having. Now you need to do this function. What it will do, whatever the indices the user has passed, it will give you the summation of all the array indices, array of that index. So if you see here, array of 0 will give you 9, array of 2 is 0, 1, 2 will give you 0, array of 5 will give you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and then it will do the summation of all this number and then return it to the end user. Okay, so that is the simple program this question was for. So I hope this is clear to everyone. I would request you to go through this entire PDF that I would be uploading it in the description as well. Read through this answer sheet, give a thought to your process, ask question, and then go through this video. And still if you are having doubt, you can always reach out to me in my WhatsApp channel or in the WhatsApp group. I hope this is clear to everyone, and I hope this explanation have added some kind of value that I wanted to provide to you in whatever the little way possible from my side, and we will see you up in the next lesson. Thank you everyone for your patience listening.